budget proposals put forward are proposed spending and efficiencies needed to reach a balanced budget position. Starting with the capital programme for this agenda item, the report outlines the Council's capital programme budget proposals for 25-26 to 27-28, focusing primarily on next year. There is no change to the proposals that were presented in December, and we have reviewed the consultation responses. These showed strong public support for our proposals. The total proposed capital programme for 25-26 is 14.386 million, including 8.388 million funded by the Council and 5.998 million from external sources such as government grants, Section 106 contributions, capital receipts and borrowing. The key priorities in the programme are property maintenance at 1.5 million allocated to address the most urgent maintenance needs, 1.298 million for schools provisionally allocated for new school places under the Basic Needs Grant, 500,000 allocated for housing stock maintenance, particularly for homelessness support, and continued investment in highways maintenance supported by the Integrated Transport Block and other grants. The proposed use of capital receipts will also allow us to continue with our important business change programme and support our agreed council plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I ask, please, the Executive Director for Resources, if you've got anything further to add?
Thank you, Chair. I would only add that there's no change from the capital proposals which were published for the consultation and approved by the Cabinet at its meeting in December. We have, however, included within this set of reports an updated version of the flexible use of capital receipts strategy that was first adopted by the Council in November 2023 alongside the Council plan. So this is a refreshed version. Moving on, we have to publish this every year and we have to notify the MHCLG that we have done so. So this is just to make sure that we have funding available to support the transformation activities and deliver the Council plan. Thank you.
Thank you. May I ask for a member to move the recommendations, please? 3.1A to E on page 7 and 8.
Councillor Neil, I'll move the item.
And I will second them. Councillor Temperton. Can I ask if the mover wishes to speak?
Yes, thank you, Leader. As I just said, this is a key milestone in the budget planning process. The capital programme emphasises maintaining critical infrastructure while balancing our fiscal responsibility and community needs. The Council aims to manage ageing assets, fund essential services and invest in sustainability initiatives within the constraints of available funding. We have consulted on these proposals and received 135 responses. These responses showed a lot of support for our proposed capital investments. Nearly 86% of respondents agreed with spending 2.7 million on our borough's roads. 71% agreed with investing 500,000 in council properties used mainly for temporary accommodation to keep residents safe and secure. 79% agreed with spending 100,000 on environmental work to stop some of our ponds, streams and wetland areas from becoming flooded and harming wildlife and biodiversity. 69% agreed with investing 445,000 in South Hill Park on essential maintenance to help keep the building and Wild Theatre running. And 52% of respondents support investing 445,000 in the first phase of a programme to make council buildings more energy efficient and reduce their impact on the environment, in line with the borough's net zero ambitions. These are encouraging as the proposals are directly in support of our council plan, including residents having a safe and affordable place to live and delivering a green and sustainable environment. We do have an increased reliance on borrowing for the programme, which is a fine balance to strike. We have to be careful not to put pressure on the revenue budget whilst properly maintaining our assets, and I am pleased that the consultation responses echo the support for investment in those assets. Our business change strategy will directly deliver important efficiencies and savings that we need to maintain our financial position. Therefore, being able to fund this programme through the flexible use of capital receipts is a core component of the capital proposals and our medium-term financial strategy. I'd like to thank everyone who responded to the consultation and for sharing your views. It's important that we hear from residents, and the feedback helps us shape a budget that reflects our community's priorities.
Thank you. A seconder, I'd like to speak. I again enjoyed taking this budget out into the community to meet with residents and talk about the budget proposals. The consultation responses showing over 50% indicated strongly agree to all questions is very reassuring. The highest percentage of support came for the proposed expenditure on highway maintenance, 86%. This is indeed a priority, as is the maintenance of our housing stock and other assets. The property condition survey reflects where we need to invest this year as part of our rolling programme. The investment will include structural maintenance, but also double glazing, new doors, insulation, LED lighting, PV installation and heating upgrades. We are showing true leadership in this rolling programme of retrofitting our assets, supporting our drive towards net zero. Investment in school places is also a priority, with 1.3 million under the Basic Needs Grant. Residents' positive support for the maintenance at South Hill Park and the theatre are very welcome. Officers have been working to secure this budget since the summer. It reflects a balance between maintaining our assets, community needs, invest to save, and fiscal responsibility. Is there any other member who... Councillor Gilby.
Thank you, Leader. I'd like to expand on the points made around highway maintenance. As councillors, we've all heard complaints about potholes, and when this administration was elected, we promised to see through on our commitment to improving travel for everyone. And in our first budget last year, we agreed to profile an extra 5 million over 4 years towards road maintenance and associated infrastructure. And in this financial year, we will be continuing that by adding £1 million extra towards our rolling base of £1.7 million. This doesn't mean that all problems in the borough are solved, but when this administration was elected, we were facing a precipitous decline in the infrastructure of our borough in terms of highways and associated stock, and we are now at a position where we have much more control over our future, over the profile of our highway network in the years to come. And I think this budget is a testament to the hard work that's been put in to making this an achievable reality for this council. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? No? None? Okay, thank you. Would the mover like to wind up, please?
Thank you, Leader, and thank you to those of you for your contributions. I'm confident that these proposals represent the investment in areas that matter to residents and maintain our assets with the appropriate funding sources, and I'm therefore pleased to move the recommendations in section 3 on page 8 of the report.
Can I ask all those in favour to raise their hand, please, in support of these recommendations?
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Item 6, the revenue budget 2025-26. Can I again ask, please, Councillor Neil, the Cabinet Member, to present the report?
Thank you, Leader. This report is the revenue budget proposals, which alongside the capital programme forms the basis for the Council's proposed spending and efficiencies needing to reach a balanced budget position for 25-26. The Council faces continued financial challenges, including inflationary pressures, increased service demands and uncertainty in funding. For next year, our rolling base budget, excluding schools, is set to decrease slightly to 97.3 million before considering inflation. Total budget pressures amount to 8.4 million, which is driven by demand for social care and new legal requirements. We have identified 5.3 million in savings, focusing on efficiency, income generation and support service reductions, resulting in a budget gap of 4.1 million before an increase in council taxes factored in. Our general reserves remain relatively healthy and estimated to be 9.85 million by March 25, but we mustn't be complacent. Following a period of consultation and since receiving further clarity on the local government financial settlement, we have made some changes to the draft proposals agreed by Cabinet in December, which are set out in detail in the report. and a supplementary paper was also published late last week setting out the implications of the final local government finance settlement. In summary, the proposals are all in support of spending inefficiencies needed to reach a balanced budget position, taking account of the government grant we will receive and the council tax referendum rules.
Director for Resources, if you've anything further to add, please.
Thank you, Leader. Just a brief commentary as the Section 151 officer. So I'm pleased to be able to inform Cabinet that, in my view, the figures within the budget are robust. They have been properly calculated. And while it's never possible to provide a full assessment of all the risks that might arise between now and the end of the 25-26 financial year, in my view, the level of the corporate contingency, together with the level of general reserves and earmark reserves that the Council holds, means that this is, in overall terms, a robust budget. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to ask the Executive Director questions? Can I just ask that there was a long list of the risks in this thing, but you all said it's unlikely that all those risks will occur. But if they do, from what you just said, we should be okay.
Yes, Leader, this Council is fortunate in possessing, in addition to the corporate contingency, which is around £4 million, which is fairly generous for a budget of around 100 million. We do have general reserves of over £9 million. We also have a range of earmarked reserves. So we are fortunate in that, certainly looking ahead to 25-26 financial year, it would be very hard to see a set of circumstances that would knock us completely off track as an organisation.
Thank you. Is there any, can I ask for the mover to move the recommendations? Or will you're moving them?
No.
Okay,
Yes.
would you like to, can I ask for a seconder, please? Thank you, Councillor Wright. Would the mover like to move it, please?
Thank you, Leader. The picture of local government finances has not materially changed, and we continue to need to balance the needs of providing the standards and services of Bracknell Forest are accustomed to and making decisions that are in line with our spending power. There continue to be headwinds and uncertainty, and the proposals laid out in this report account for these. Furthermore, anticipated changes in local government funding allocation beginning in 26-27 will reduce future income for Bracknell Forest. So this year is about setting a budget that will set us up well now and into the future, and not making any decisions we may come to regret. I'd again like to thank the 135 respondents to the consultation and the people who came to our budget engagement sessions. It really does help us to shape proposals that are reflective of what residents want. This year, the feedback told us, overall 63% of respondents told us they generally agree with the proposed revenue budget savings, and 50% said they agree or strongly agree with the Council's proposals to increase spending in specific areas. Looking at specific proposals, 63% support increasing the charge for the garden waste, which is brown bin service, by £5, so the scheme becomes self-funding by the end of 25-26. 62% agree that grounds maintenance work should focus on essential tasks like highway safety rather than appearance-related work to save £15,000 a year. 63% support reducing the number of parking machines at the Lookout and the Avenue car parks, and 80% support the Council's approach to promoting independence for adults through early intervention and prevention using assistive technology. Almost 2/3 of respondents said they supported a review of our approach to discretionary business rates relief for charities. While it is not part of our 25-26 budget proposals, this report also proposes to consult on a draft new discretionary rates relief policy. This Council is proud of providing a range of financial and non-financial support to charitable organisations. We do this through our core grant funding for our strategic voluntary sector partners, in the financial support we provided local organisations through the COVID period and beyond, and through the Bracknell Forest Lottery. We also currently automatically provide the maximum 20% discretionary rate relief to all registered charities occupying premises in the borough, regardless of the role they may play in supporting local people. This blanket approach without any formal application process is highly unusual. When we sought views on local priorities to inform a revised policy in December and January, we heard loud and clear that the support we provided to charitable organisations in business rates relief should be focused on local charities helping local people. We are hugely grateful for the voluntary sector and everything they do, providing vital and much needed services to residents, and it is important that they are able to support those charities in the most meaningful way possible. Whilst recognising that paying zero business rates is considerably more generous than other local authorities and not always the most appropriate use of our local taxpayers' money. The draft policy will go out for a further stage of consultation to those charities in receipt of discretionary rates relief, and I hope they will find it to be fair, reasonable and in line with the consultation responses. I'd like to thank the 44 respondents to our online questionnaire, and the 17 of which were submitted on behalf of organisations in receipt of discretionary rates relief, and the 2 charities who attended the online and face-to-face engagement sessions we held. Cabinet will receive the results of the consultation at its meeting next month and be asked at that point whether to introduce a new discretionary rates relief policy which would not impact any current recipients before April 2026. Returning to the 25-26 budget, it is clear that a 4.99% increase to council tax is the only reasonable path we can take in order to be able to fund the services that are needed and respected by Bracknell Forest residents and provide stability for the organisation into the future. Equally, we recognise that some residents may require additional help, and our proposal to fund a further council tax discount through the S13A scheme addresses this. Whilst 55% of respondents agreed with the council providing financial support for the borough's lowest income households, comments suggested that we should also look at addressing the root cause of hardship. And when we are out talking to residents and on the doorstep, we often hear that we should be able to better support those who need more financial help but are not entitled to council tax support. Since the eligibility threshold for council tax support has been frozen for some years, an increasing number of households are finding themselves earning just above the threshold and therefore becoming responsible for paying the full council tax bill. At this time, when these households get into council tax arrears, they will be expected to contact Revenue Services and arrange an affordable payment plan. Revenue Services is able to provide some financial advice and support these households, but this is currently limited. So I'm pleased that in order to enable a more holistic and positive approach to supporting households just above the council tax support threshold, we plan to increase this S13A budget by £88,000 and are proposing an extra member of staff to be able to support those residents both financially and with specific financial advice to the household. This will help ensure that the circumstances leading to them accruing significant arrears are not repeated. This will be on a trial basis for 1 year and funded from the Financial Hardship Reserve. We also plan to retain our council tax support scheme to offer all working age households council tax support claimants a £50 discount on their council tax bill. Together, these measures mean we are able to provide targeted and meaningful support to those who need it. I believe, Leader, that this is a balanced and fair budget, and I'm happy to propose it to Cabinet as set out in recommendations 3.1 to 3.6 on the supplementary paper published during tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Would the seconder like to speak?
Thank you, Leader. Thank you to the officers for their hard work in creating a framework that provides for our residents while staying as closely as possible to a balanced budget for the year. This has not been an easy task, as councils have repeatedly been asked to find efficiencies for the past 15 years. At Bracknell Forest Council, these efficiencies are focused as much as possible on income generation, central office savings and business change, rather than reducing frontline services. Children and adult services take up a significant part of the budget, and this percentage is increasing every year as our population ages and medical breakthroughs help extend the lives of children who are in need of additional support. There is an increasing demand for adult social care services, which is evident in the number of people requesting and receiving either short or long-term support. The increased number of children and young people becoming young adults and moving into adult social care continues to be a large portion of the increase in demand for services. often at very high levels of need and cost. Adult services aim to provide information, advice, support with equipment and technology solutions to assist people to remain at home for longer, living a full and active life for as long as possible. Where someone might need short-term reablement or rehabilitation, this is facilitated, again to try and support individuals to remain independent or living in their own home for as long as possible. When we took the budget to the people, over 80% agreed or strongly agreed with the proposals to promote independence in adult social care. This was the second highest approval score, beaten only by approval of highway improvements. Supporting family carers remains an increased focus of adult social care as we aim to increase the number of carers we are supporting and implementing the all-age integrated carers strategy. Where people do need long-term care, the aim remains to support people to live at home for as long as possible before residential or nursing care is considered. The length of time people are remaining in long-term care has increased, and the high unit costs and inflationary and other uplifts continue to factor into the budget pressures within adult social care. Working closely with health colleagues to ensure that health needs are appropriately resourced remains a critical focus for both adults and children's social care. As a council, we are committed to providing the best for our residents so that they age well, are safe and have a good quality of life at every age, which is why I'm happy to second this revenue budget and thank everyone for their hard work in it. Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else like to speak? Councillor.
Thank you, Leader. Colleagues, tonight we are considering a budget that is not only responsible and pragmatic, but also one that aligns with our long-term vision for Bracknell Forest. As the Cabinet Member for the Environment, Community and Housing, I fully support these proposals, which strike the right balance between maintaining vital services and ensuring financial sustainability. One of the key highlights in my portfolio is the investment into the reprocurement of the RE3 waste disposal contract. This is a significant strategic partnership, and it is essential that we get this right for our residents. With the upcoming Environmental Act legislation driving us towards simpler recycling, we must be ready. Investing now means that we secure the best value for our residents, while making it easier for them to recycle and reduce landfill waste. This directly supports our council plan objective of a green and sustainable environment. We must also be fair in how we structure charges for non-statutory services. The small increase in brown bin charges ensures that those who use this service pay for it, rather than it being subsidised by those who don't. This is a fair and transparent approach, and it remains the case that residents who choose not to pay for a brown bin can still access free waste disposal at Longshot Lane. Our focus is on sustainability and fairness, making sure we continue to offer high-quality services that are funded appropriately. I recognise that there is a small reduction in the discretionary works budget for street cleansing and grounds maintenance. However, this is a necessary step in ensuring our budget remains balanced whilst prioritising the contractual and health and safety elements of these services. And these, of course, are the most important to residents. This aligns with the Labour Party's manifesto commitment to making sure resources are used efficiently and fairly. Beyond environmental services, I also want to highlight the careful approach we have taken to early help and community safety. While savings have been made in some areas, our priority remains protecting those most in need. The review of community safety funding ensures that we are focusing resources on tackling the highest priority issues, such as domestic abuse support, anti-social behaviour interventions and youth services. This ensures that while we work within a constrained budget, our most vulnerable residents remain protected. Likewise, our approach to housing repairs is about ensuring value for money while continuing to meet statutory obligations. We are maintaining support for those in temporary accommodation and continuing our work to reduce reliance on expensive emergency housing options. The focus remains on early intervention, preventing homelessness and ensuring that repairs are prioritised where they are most needed. On financial hardship, I want to emphasise the importance of the Household Support Grant, which continues to provide a crucial safety net for families facing financial difficulties. While we've had to review discretionary funding, this budget ensures that we maintain targeted support for those most at risk of hardship, whether through emergency food and energy assistance or direct financial aid to vulnerable families. We remain committed to supporting those who need it most. This budget is one that connects key services, ensuring that we are meeting both our statutory and environmental responsibilities, and does so in a way that is financially responsible and sustainable. I urge Cabinet colleagues to support these measures and continue our commitment to a cleaner, greener and fairer Bracknell Forest. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Councillor Bailey?
Yes, Councillor Roy Bailey. A brief commentary from me about children's services. Nationally, councils are facing an unprecedented demand on core services, including children's social care and education. Supporting children and young people to remain with their families when it is safe to do so, and supporting families at points of crisis will always be our favoured approach. But there are times when we need to support children and young people directly through foster carer support or placements. We've continued to support children and young people in the community, many of whom are on the edge of care and receive intensive support from children's social care and health services. Whilst the number of children and young people being supported in foster care and residential placements has reduced, there continues to be a significant increase in the unit cost of those placements, impacting on the budget. We continue to focus on improving our offer for foster carers to be able to support children with more challenging needs, whilst also ensuring that we are in line with the national agenda to ensure that the family kinship carers are also appropriately supported. The increased cost of unaccompanied asylum seeker children is also outlined for investment following review of the longer-term support required. The number of disabled children and children with special educational needs is increasing in Bracknell Forest, with a higher number of disabled children supported by the Children's Specialist Support Services. Capacity to support the increased number of disabled children in receipt of support has been recognised within the budget proposals, including increased short break respite. The demand on education and learning services is also recognised within the budget, with additional investment in the educational psychology services and investment to redesign a number of home to school transport routes outlined in the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else like to speak? I would speak as for climate change. This council adopted a unanimous climate change and recognised this as an emergency, with a policy to try and get to net zero as near 2030 as possible. And you can't have a motion like that and then not put in some finances to actually make this happen. We have a fantastically produced now and very, very ambitious climate change strategy, which has gone out to consultation, was mostly very positively received. But this it needs a behaviour change on not only the council and all its members, but out there in the community. So we need to be out there helping people change and adopt the change that's necessary, and also realise the importance of it for health and economy. And then not only do we introduce these initiatives, but we need to be out there to monitor it and to actually make sure that these actions are making an effect. And to do this, there needs to be revenue, and it needs to be balanced, and it needs to be backed, and it is. So I think this is a very, very good budget, which reflects what this council has as priorities. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Would the mover like to wind up, please?
Thank you, Leader. I'm delighted to endorse the proposals in this report to Cabinet, and I'm confident in that what we have proposed is in the best interest of the residents of Bracknell Forest. It maintains a prudent approach to managing our budget and delivering quality services to residents. We cannot escape the uncertainty and pressures of the current environment, but we do have a strategy in our council plan, and this budget underpins how we are delivering that now and into the future. We know that an increase in any tax is never welcome, and have given great thought to the proposed 4.99% council tax increase. When we look to our own circumstances, the services we must provide, as well as the standards that Bracknell Forest residents expect, as well as the uncertainty as we look to the future, we have to take decisions that we know will be unpopular and ultimately will provide us with the stability and strong foundations we need as we head into 26-27. The 4.99% increase represents £1.55 per week on a Band D property, and Bracknell Forest still represents one of the lowest council tax charges in the country. We firmly believe this is offering residents good value for money. I'm therefore pleased to move recommendations 3.1 to 3.6 as tabled this evening.
Thank you. Can I ask all those in favour to raise their hands, please?
That's unanimous.
Thank you. Item 7 has been deferred to a future meeting. So we then go on to item 8, which is the Arts, Culture and Heritage Framework. And I will introduce this. So the framework sets out to enhance arts, culture and heritage in Bracknell Forest, recognising the positive opportunity to impact residents and visitors. Cultural activities have the potential to boost local investment, support the economy and strengthen community cohesion and resilience. This framework highlights the importance of partnerships with voluntary, community and faith sectors, as well as town and parish councils, to deliver a vibrant cultural offer. The framework covers key areas including the role of libraries, events and activities in the town centre, and the valuable venue of Southall Park. We will be looking at how existing funding streams such as the UK Shared Prosperity Fund and Section 106 planning agreements can be used to support this area further. Can I please ask the Abby Thomas, Assistant Director of Communities and Policy, if she has anything to add? Or no, it's...
Chair, it's Kevin Gibbs, the Exec Director for Communities. This is in my portfolio. I think you've covered most of it, Leader. All I would simply say is this framework is developed to bring people and communities together. It seeks to identify areas where the council can influence and extend local opportunities, ultimately enhancing the local economy and community resilience. This work will extend further once we move forward with our community strategy and ensure there's a clear pathway for arts, culture and heritage to be part of the fabric of Bracknell Forest. We've identified within the framework that there are already many strong examples of arts, culture and heritage embedded in the community, and we will continue to work in partnership to promote and develop these initiatives.
Thank you. Has anyone got any questions for the Director, please? No? Can I just ask, I presume there will be an action plan coming with this once it's going, once it's been established, or we've got the framework in place?
Leader, so the framework gives us the opportunity to move forward with a number of initiatives and coordinate the work going on, but the full strategy and the full community strategy will have the sort of the action plan and the action activity brought back for the Cabinet to sign off. So this is the sort of precursor to a bigger piece of work.
I would like to move this. Is there a seconder, please?
I'm happy to second.
Now, thank you. To move in this, that I would reiterate the fact the framework establishes a clear direction for the arts, culture and heritage in Bracknell Forest. We have Southall Park, but then we have the arts in the north of the parish. We have lots of things going on in parish councils. We have lots going on in the community. When you sit in the library and you do the consultation on the budget, you realise all the arts activities that are actually taking place in those communities across the borough. It aligns with our ambitions in the council plan to support cohesive communities and a thriving economy. This lays the groundwork, more work in the future, which will align with the developing community strategy and wider engagement with residents. The framework brings together a much more coordinated approach to arts, culture and heritage development, working collaboratively to ensure long-term sustainability and growth in this sector. Would the seconder like to speak?
Yeah, thank you, Leader. This is a really exciting framework. It goes beautifully, works beautifully with community cohesion, and we all know the importance of the arts in society, and really excited to see how this moves forward. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? No? Then in just winding up, I would just like to say that I think the arts and the culture and the this is so important for the emotional well-being of all our residents. And there is a lot of action, lots of support already in the borough for physical well-being, but this is really essential. So I really do welcome the fact that this strategy is now being put forward. Can I ask all those in favour, please, if this proposals for this strategy, which is 2.1 on pages 283. All those in favour?
Yes, that's unanimous. Thanks.
Thank you. I then say this is the end of this meeting. Can you please tell us when the streaming has ended?